talking this hour about the world of social media, and it is ever changing. Ryan Richardson is back with us. He is president of MediaSafe Corporation, CEO, bmediasafe.com. He has a new book out. Is called When Private is Public, Media Safety in the Digital Workplace. And Ryan, good morning, and thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you for the invite back.
I want to as soon as possible, invite all the calls that you want to make, all the questions that you have for Ryan, all of the things that we are going to talk about today. You can certainly add your opinion to 519-792-2559 if you want to guard yourself, guard your kids, if you want to talk about circumstances that have happened, if you want to find out how you can be safer online. Ryan's the guy to help you out. 519-792-2559. Ryan, first of all, I want you to talk to us a little bit about your book, about your new book. Who does this address?
Really? The first one I wrote was called Saving Face Book, and that was directed more towards parents, educators, people that were walking kids through this world of social media. This one is called When Private is Public. This one is geared more towards the business owner, the corporate client, somebody who doesn't have a social media policy in place and probably should have one, the one that's concerned that their employees are out there saying things that may not be consistent with the business. Again, not nonprofits as well. It's the idea behind this book is to draw attention to the need to just be more careful. That every thought we think and everything that comes to minds probably shouldn't necessarily go online, because in so many ways we think, well, I'm just posting this, but it's only going to friends, and that's okay. That's enough. But the reality is that when something leaves and it goes online, it becomes public. It's a public statement, and sometimes the public statement can just go up and disappear, and sometimes the public statement goes up and blows up into a catastrophe. When I started doing this and talking to schools and businesses about 4 years ago, I would get a new story probably maybe once a day, maybe once every 2 days. Every city now gets a news story every single day. There's a news story about somebody who decides to go online and say something. There have been so many stories about reporters that make offensive statements and that kind of thing, and they hope that it's just going to blow over. And the reality is, because of things like YouTube, because of Facebook, the ability to share and perpetuate the stories, it's very hard to have that completely disappear.
A lot of people, when we talk in terms, and we're going to give a lot of examples and talk about different people and different posts and whatnot, but a lot of people say, well, I should be able to say whatever I want. There's freedom of speech. Yep. My employer should have nothing to do with what I'm saying and what I'm doing.
And this is my outlet. Things that I don't want to say in person, I might be able to say online. But the reality is that line is blurred. When you work for a company, when you represent a business, when you represent a nonprofit, sometimes the things that we say can come back to hurt us and to hurt sometimes the business as well. I was really fascinated by the conversation yesterday about the funeral selfies.
Yes,
that was really something else. The idea of, and I've heard about this for a while, of the need to take a picture with the body at the funeral, and it's concerning because a lot of times we're losing. One of the big challenges that we have in 2017 is that we need to remember time and place. And we need to teach time and place, not only at home, but in the workplace. There is a time and a place for everything. And so when we lose sense of maybe this isn't the best time to do that, maybe this isn't the most appropriate, maybe it will offend everybody else in the room if we get up and take a picture there in particular, that really certainly is something we should be thinking about. Is this the proper time and place? Do I need to wait? I call it the 10-second rule. Should I wait 10 seconds to think about whether I want to put this on? Mm-hmm. Or should I, give it a second thought? I have a friend who has quite a few tattoos, and he said he's never impulsively gotten a tattoo. He said his philosophy is think before you ink. He looks at what he wants to put on, and he says, is this something I'm going to like in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years? Is this something, and the philosophy applies to the online world. Think before you ink, before I actually put my name to something, because the anonymity in many ways is gone, right? The idea that I can just say it and nobody's going to find out who I am, that's pretty much disappeared. There are ways of finding out who said what and when they said it and how they said it and all those kind of things. So we just want to be aware of that. with the funeral situation, I think that you're going to see cremation more and more. If funeral selfies become a real big thing, you're going to see more people that are going to opt for cremation and for different ways of dealing with the funeral.
You were telling me just prior to going on the show, and I want you to share this because people will be amazed at what we are now possibly looking at, a new app that is developed. Has it been developed already?
It's been developed and it's available for purchase. There is an app that is out there. I just read an article about it about 2 weeks ago. These two people have come up with an app so that if you want to post something after you pass away, if you want to send somebody a birthday message, remember somebody's anniversary, that you can basically store up those messages using this app, and that when you go, those messages will still go out to people.
Yeah, we are there's something.
The lines are blurred, right?
Yeah, they really are. They really, really are, and they are becoming I'd say unfortunately more blurred. Like we have to handle this very, very responsibly, and I fear that we aren't. So I'm grateful to people like you that are helping educate us on how to do it responsibly.
Sure. Now, personally, if I got a message, a Facebook message from somebody that had passed on 5 years ago saying happy birthday to me, that would really throw me off. That would really make me feel uncomfortable. And especially when I've gone through the grieving process, when I've walked through it and I've done that, it may have, for me personally, it would probably affect my ability to grieve that person if 10 years from now I'm still getting messages that have been pre-programmed. But I can also see the marketing and the business side of it where people will want to do that. That might be an interesting thing for people to call about too, because would you want to have messages come to you after the fact? I don't know.
I mean, like you say, you don't know where, and I think for many people, we don't know where this is taking us all.
Right. Yeah.
What's the next, what will we be doing next?
Yeah. 10 years ago, when the iPhone launched, they said there's an app for everything. Now, since 10 years, there have been apps for absolutely everything at this point, because there are always people that are developing apps for different things. When I say apps, I'm not talking about appetizers at restaurants. I'm talking about the actual things that you can get on your phone or on your tablet that will help you to do whatever. There's a great one right now I got called Put Your Phone Down. And I got it right at January 1st. There were a couple of habits I wanted to change. Put your phone down. You can look it up on your phone, and it will tell you when you put your phone down how long your phone was put down. So the idea is to keep challenging yourself to not necessarily need your phone on you all the time. So I think I'm up to about 12 minutes right now, which is pretty good for me.
Which is pretty good for you?
Yeah.
For a guy that works in the business.
Exactly.
It's pretty good for you.
Yeah.
If you have questions for Ryan, give us a call at 519-792-2559. We want some of your we want your opinions on some of this stuff as well. We have had incidents here locally with public figures that have really felt the pain of writing things on what they considered a private Facebook, private Twitter pages and whatnot, and then it goes public and things, have come back to bite them. We have U.S. President Donald Trump.
Sure, absolutely.
Who's a huge Twitter. He uses Twitter all the time, personally and professionally. And you're saying those lines have been kind of crossed already as well.
Yeah. Well, every day we make decisions about how we're going to treat each other, what we're going to say to each other, how we're going to use social media. And I said the main two ways that we can use social media is first as a tool to contact friends, to stay in touch, drop a message, those kind of things, or we can use it as a weapon. And the presidential Twitter account for the last 8 years has been used as a tool. It's been used to get information out, to encourage people, whatever the case may be. It's had a bit of a presidential tone to it, whereas the current use right now is using it more as a weapon. We've seen that just this week with Nordstrom's, where the current president has posted some very bad things about, very, very, very bad things about Nordstrom because they stopped carrying Ivanka Trump's clothing line. Which we could look at and say, well, that's an American problem. Why do we care about it? But the reality is, it's actually happening. There's a boycott currently against the Bay that currently carries Ivanka Trump's clothing line, and there is a growing boycott of the Bay in Canada to drop her clothing line. So it is something to be very concerned about or interested in. It certainly does bleed over and affect us, but the reality is the presidential Twitter account the place to vent against companies? to, call out companies on whether they're leaving the country, whether they're staying, those kind of things. It's definitely created more and more questions in a traditionally, presidential role.
And so once again, your new book addresses the whole idea of businesses and how we can and should be developing policies, and as employees, how we can and should be responding to that.
It is our opinion that every business should have a social media policy in place. Just something that you sit down and have a conversation, and I have a presentation that I do where we talk about just being how you represent the company, that you represent the company now. It doesn't end when you leave to go home, is that 24/7 around the clock that you are an employee when you are on social media. So the idea being just making your employees, making your volunteers, making your team members, this is big for sports teams as well, helping them to understand that you are not private figures necessarily, you are public figures, and that what you do can affect the business, the nonprofit, the team, the school.
All right, 519-792-2559. If you have questions about your children, if you have questions about your own accounts, if you have questions about your employer, your employees, certainly give us a call at 519-792-2559. Talk to us about some of these apps as well. If you have noticed things maybe on your kids' phones and you want to know what they are, what they're for, what they do, how long they last, Ryan is the guy to ask these questions of. 519-792-2559. You can also visit him online at bemediasafe.com. His new book is When Private is Public. And we are talking about that book. We are talking about how things work as far as you're concerned as well in your home, as I said, with your family and in your workplace. So give us a call with your opinions, and it's 519-792-2559.